Hey friends, and welcome to 3-Minute Racquet Reviews. Today's racket is the Wilson K-Factor Pro Staff 90. Onto the ground strokes with this one, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think they did a great degree of improvement on the layup, the string pattern, and the general mold when it comes to this Pro Staff 90. It has more power, more spin potential, in general just a much more modern frame than the N-Code variant. Something that I do think could still be used today by somebody that loves a mid-size feel. Moving on to the net play, I'd give this one a 9 out of 10. Pro Staff 90 frames are exceptional with the net, and I'd give this one the same type of feedback. I mean, this thing really sticks a volley, but you can also hit a swinging volley with a ton of spin and pace. A lot of people say that this mold, this string pattern is the most similar to the version that Federer used to accumulate his 17 majors with the frame. I would definitely concur with that from a playability perspective, especially when it comes to shots that he was known for, like a swinging forehand volley. Moving on to the serving, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I think mid-size frames in general are hard to serve with in 2025. Namely in terms of the kick and generating a ton of spin there, but on the slice serve and the flat serve, I really enjoyed the response with this one. Moving on to power, I'd give this a 7 out of 10. It's definitely more powerful than any Pro Staff 90 I've ever used. Next on to the control here. I think in regards to other Pro Staff 90s, this one is just as controlled, even though you do have more spin, more power on tap. I'd rate it as something like a 9 out of 10. On a spin, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's much more spin friendly than any other Pro Staff 90, really any other mid-size frame that I've ever used. The launch angle I would honestly categorize towards medium, middle launch angle territory. You really can generate a ton of spin. The ball sinks into the string bed and really shoots out with a fair launch angle. On to stability, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I think all Wilson mid-size frames, Pro Staff 90s, are quite stable. This one is on the more stable side relative to its other iterations. It definitely allows you to block back the pace of your opponent and still get a fair degree of depth. On to comfort, I'd give this a 7.5 out of 10. It's not as comfortable as the other Pro Staff 90 iterations. The K-Factor layups were known for this. Like most people that own these frames know this. They're very crispy. They have more of a, let's say, harsh sensation than other Wilson layups. So that's just something you should come to expect if you want to pick one of these up. Moving on to the flex profile, I'd classify this in the lower yoke. They did thin out the lower throat section of this racket, so it does whip through the air really nicely. It does remind me of a Prestige in the sense that it just snaps right through contact. There is sort of a lag of the racket head behind your hand. Definitely a welcome sensation for someone like me that's used to players' rackets. Moving on to touch, I'd give this a 9 out of 10. I think there's great touch and feel in this string bed. Even though it's a more open string bed for a Pro Staff 90, you really can tell where the ball sinks into the string bed, and there's a good sense of really where every shot's gonna pop out. Onto our Will It Lead category, this is probably the only mid-size frame I will unequivocally say can work in 2025 in a competitive setting for an average player. This thing's awesome. Like, if you play old school tennis, it will definitely enable you to do everything that you want to do, but you can also take a big cut at a groundie. Lastly, on the cosmetics, just like N-Code, you guys have heard me wax poetic about K-Factor, so again, I will save my breath, but it's beautiful. Great color blocking, classic colors, just another stellar one from Wilson. Thanks everybody for tuning into this racket review. We'll see you in the next one.